You're a mountain biker that wants to jump your bike, ride your bike over rocks and roots, do downhill, get on the podium. You are in trouble. Now, I got these comments. I'm getting a lot of hate for this. There's no reason to get any help if you can do it for free. Just go a little faster. Your speed will save you. Get a better bike. It's all for fun. Age is just a number. All of these sound really nice, and they're dead lies. Not just keeping you stuck, but they're keeping you at risk. The reason that you're in trouble is because there is a crash crisis going on right now. I wanted to bring us together and talk about exactly why. But bear with me, because if you care about these types of things in your riding, I'm going to show you using data. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you exactly what you need in order to prevent these types of injuries and give you the exact one rule you must follow. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dave Davidson. I'm the founder of Mountain Bike Academy. Yes, it's a free YouTube channel. What you need to do is you need to subscribe to the channel right now, because later this winter, I'm going to be dropping a completely free fundamentals course, how to do your jumps, how to do your drops, how to do all the basic fundamentals. And it's going to have some really cool stuff that's never been seen before or done in the industry. I know, because I've taken and purchased all the other stuff that's out there in the industry so that you don't have to. I speak with intermediate riders. I do an intermediate performance intensive for riders that have been stuck for years on a skill plateau. And they tell me the crashes that they've had. They tell me the injuries they've had. So we have an absolute crash crisis on our hands. And if you don't believe me, and if you think this is sensational, you will find that mountain biking is 7 times you're more likely to get an upper body injury than snowboarding. You are twice as likely to get a major injury doing mountain biking than you are skiing. So any way you cut it, you're going to find out that there is massive risk in this sport, and it is getting me fed up, because the entire industry is going along with, sure, it's fine, just buy a nice bike and go out and have fun, it's not a big deal. I want to be very clear about the part that I'm attacking here, okay? I like that everyone's having fun on the bike. I'm sure it's a great pastime for a lot of people. But again, that's kind of like getting on the Autobahn with one wheel that has one of the 5 bolts attached to it, no seat belt, and you've spent 6 to 7 years letting your engine rot without an oil change, and then you floor it. What do you expect is going to happen? So for those of you that want to do downhill, enduro, or maybe you're an XC rider who wants to do the more downhill enduro flavors, maybe you want to do jumps. There's one principle that you must follow. If you break this principle, you expose yourself immediately to these crashes. The reason that I looked this up is if you look at spinal injuries, okay, these are the most pronounced injuries. 1/2 of those spinal injuries, this is according to some study they did at Whistler, it's like a 20-year study, 1/2 of spinal injuries were complete. In other words, complete paralysis, all right? And the study looked at what type of crash happened for these riders, and every single one of them was over the bars. So if you take your bike, I'm gonna do terrible drawings, just bear with me, and you, who are wearing a helmet, okay, that is a helmet, and you go over the bars, that means that you have become disconnected from the bike and the body interface. Many crashes that are survivable, where you just get banged up and bruised, maybe you break a bone, you keep most of this interface and you drive most of the force through the bike, and then you roll off and you keep yourself safe, okay? So when this bike body interface breaks, it is an indication that you got yourself in over where you can ride, which sometimes it's just a mistake of poor judgment. But that's the excuse everyone uses when they're doing easy stuff. How many times have you hit the trails and go, oh, I'll just hold back a little bit here. That's my safety mechanism. Guys, it's a coping mechanism for not being good at mountain biking. Listen carefully to what I'm saying here. What I'm not saying is that those of you who have low skills are losers. No, the people that have low skills and go out and do something about it are the winners. They're the ones who are getting one step ahead of this principle, which I'll reveal to you in just a second. I just want to break down why these crashes happen first. Okay, so the most dangerous crashes happen here in the wrong type of thinking. So we have a right and a wrong way of thinking about it. The wrong way is simply, that's cool, I'll just go around it. That only works if you're a beginner and you're not actually trying to enjoy the sport, because it still exposes you to all the other danger. The correct way to think about this is, how in the world do I stay ahead of the challenges of the trail? In other words, how do I expand my capacity to be a great athlete on the bike, okay? The old way of practicing is more riding. I've done this. It is more sending. It is more crash to confidence. I have done this before, where I have been literally proud of making it down a trail And I looked around and I was like, guys, did you see that? And they were like, don't do that again. And I'm like, what? It was awesome. And they're like, no, dude, like you are out of control and you're surviving. All these old ways of progression, they're the reason why you crash. These are massively dangerous. So the new way of looking at this addresses the one principle, okay? The one principle is never outpace your athleticism, okay? Remember a few minutes ago, I talked about how the bike-body interface breaks down all of the major spinal cord injuries that happen. They're over the bars. It's because they are things that are based in athleticism that are not happening. Things like losing control, things like misjudging speed, and listen closely to me, not reacting properly. I want to hone in on this one because not reacting is that kind of blank, oh my gosh, what happened? Think back to the last time you crashed as an intermediate rider, or maybe you're a beginner and you're like, wow, how did I just slip out there? That was surprising. That's not reacting. And, oh, I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't quite do it, is also not reacting. And if you ride stiff, if you feel like your torso is getting bobbled forward and back, if you feel like you need to clench any muscles to hold on to the bike, you are not reacting. And that is a function of your athleticism, not your technique. Because here's the thing, if you're riding stiff, you're not reacting, you're misjudging, you're losing control, the core thing that's missing, the big missing piece for you, is 100% your athleticism. You cannot practice more technique. You cannot get better technique and fix this. Here's how I know this, because if you get better technique and it feels better and you go, great, I just did it again, okay, cool, add a little speed, change one variable, and you're gonna be crashing again. You're gonna be riding stiff. The reason why is because your athleticism is broken. I'm gonna go through each one. Age, just a number. I don't wanna like attack people that say age is just a number to keep themselves going. If you say this to yourself to encourage yourself to go out and enjoy the sport, if it's a way for you to say, hey, I'm still here, I'm still getting after it, that's a good way to think about it. I do encourage that, so you're right. I'm not attacking that. But you must train like your age. You have no option. Train to your age. You must train to your biology, okay? Not trying to say anything political here, but like if you're a woman, you need to train differently than a man. If you're 40, you don't heal like you used to. Your reaction times are a little bit different. You don't recover the same way. If you're 50, your balance, if you haven't trained it, will start to decline. You're going to notice that your explosiveness isn't quite there if you don't train it. When you're 60, you're hanging on for dear life if you haven't trained. So if you just go out there and you do weight training, if you do fitness, if you do time on the bike, if you do practice, all of these things are good and they will help you. They are literally 20% of the reason why you're safe on the bike. I'm going hard here. 80% is athleticism. Your reactions, your judgment, your balance, all of this is neurological. If you outpace your neurological skill and your neurological training, you will not be able to call on the workouts that you did, the strength that you did, the mobility that you did, all the time you spent on the bike. Can you see how this is dramatically different? And can you see why so many riders are riding to their own crashes? These are preventable. There's so many preventable crashes out there, it's not even funny. Again, nobody talks about this one. You must train to your personality. When I went back to my children's school for, it's like the thing where you go in and the teachers do a 10-minute presentation, a really nice presentation. They put a lot of time into it and they're like, here's our school. This is what we're doing this year. This is what you need to expect. I'm telling you, man, I was in there for a minute and I'm just already like bouncing my leg. I'm like, God, get me out of here. This is terrible. And if you look at my personality type, and if you look at pretty much anything, you can look at my horoscope. I don't even know if I believe in that stuff. But if you look at me, my personality, you'd be like, yeah, that guy probably hates sitting in a school classroom. And, whew, I can't learn, I can't thrive, I can't enjoy myself, I can't create, I'm out. So in the same way, many of us think we need to practice like a pro, and then we'll be a pro. Some of you need to kind of slow down and have someone talk to you gently. You need someone to break it down step by step by step and slow your roll down. Some of you need to learn new skills in a way where someone sits with you and goes, all right, man, go screw it up. You ever heard that from a coach? Probably not. There are parts of how we learn that are ingrained in our personality, and there are parts of how we learn that are just kind of human that we need to be able to do, and none of these things are on YouTube. I intentionally don't put them on YouTube because you can't use them without feedback. You need to be able to train to your personality. You need to train to your age. You need to train to your biology. All of this is because of the neurological implications of how you learn. Okay? So again, the old way, reviewing this really quick, more riding, sending it big, crashing into confidence, surviving, even going to coaching and getting some feedback. These are useful, I like them, but if you're outpacing your athleticism and you break that rule once, you're done. That's where these things have stopped helping you and you're just baking in worse habits using the wrong neuromuscular, in other words, brain-body firing patterns. At the end of the day, what you need to do is you must rebuild the mind-body connection and then layer in technique later. I've got a whole video on the 4 different processes broken down, and I go 100 layers deeper when I work with people. So this is things like daily mobility, full range of motion, and activation of muscles. This is an example. This won't specifically help you with biking, but I'm going to tighten my fist as tight as I can go and keep my muscles engaged and open the hand all the way up, reach back with the fingers, and I've got these wonderful triple joints. So I gotta reach back. And then it's closing the hand again with muscles engaged, then adding a tennis ball and squeezing it, then adding motion and things like this. And this gives your brain a reference point to what it feels like to do these movements. If you've ever, this is the one thing that I do think is the best phrase because it's so true. Use it or lose it. So the problem is most people just apply this to their muscles and to their flexibility and call it a day there. That's like, great, you got big muscles and you can move really far, but your brain doesn't know what this feels like, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. It doesn't know what it feels like here, or here, or here. And so you jump out of your desk or out of your truck at the end of the week, you get on your Ibis Ripley, and you get on the top of the trail. And you're looking down, you're like, yeah, I did my weightlifting, I did my stretching, I did my clinic, I did my YouTube. And then you go down the trail and you're just grabbing the bars for dear life the whole time. You wonder why it doesn't work. It's because you literally sit at a desk all week, or if you are doing things, like you're very active, like my CrossFit people, they're like, yo, but I do CrossFit. It's like, yeah, of course. Like mountain biking, you need tiny movements and you need to be quick with your reactions. And you need to have balance. And I don't care how many handstands you can do or how many sit-ups you can do. I don't care about any of that stuff. What matters is you need to use it or lose it with your neurological system. Full range of motion with full muscle activation and a daily mobility plan is your #1 defense against losing a lot of this stuff. Also, for many of you, you need to build a foundation for plyometrics. So what is this? This is where your body has mobile stillness. The difference between being able to jump and moving a lot and like throwing the body up and getting 2 inches of air versus doing a hop that I explode quickly through the feet is mobility through stillness, okay? So this explosion, plyometrics, comes from the ability for me to create tension in the body and hold it while something else is moving. 99% of you, when I get riding footage, especially of jumping, everyone's moving their body and standing up to the jump and then collapsing. Or you're moving a lot, but none of the energy gets transferred into the air and you do all these weird other moves. And so, again, it's kind of scary to watch people drop or jump because everyone does this. It's pretty rough. So you need a foundation for plyometrics by building body stillness through mobility. And this is a hard one. I got to admit, it's likely that you will not be able to figure this out unless you have like I have a doctor of physio that works with me, and I also have a full, like a movement practitioner on staff who does this with me, and I still struggle to get this, okay? If you don't do this though, it's like going down the Autobahn at 200 miles an hour without a seatbelt on and one of your wheels is loose. It's just really dangerous. You have to do this. So the good news though is that mountain biking is a little forgiving, actually. So if you do work on this, and let's say you get to maybe 50% of your athletic potential, honestly, sometimes that can be enough. But the truth is that right now you guys are at like 10%. And if you're at 10%, then your margin for error is very small. And that's why you feel so out of control and you're stiff on the jumps. That's why in the corners you're having to lock up a lot of muscles and you feel like you're leaning away and the bike is standing you up, or you lose traction when you're going downhill because you can't do the body positions that you know you need to do. Now, again, I appreciate some of you are like, well, I don't know what the body positions are. It's like, okay, that's fine too. This is just as important for you as well, because then you get to learn it the right way. So this is a very long rant. At the end of the day though, when you build mobile body stillness, in other words, being able to move with stiffness and transfer energy, when you have a daily mobility practice, when you have rebuilt the mind-body connection and you become an athlete, then and only then will you stay ahead and never outpace your athleticism. When you do this, you can do anything on the bike. I don't care if you're 70 years old. You guys have heard about those 60, 70-year-olds at Whistler doing 20, 30, 40-foot jumps. This is what they did. When you see Greg Gnar having a, like a 400-year-long career, and he's like, oh, I just did my 754th downhill race. It's like, okay, dude, well, that's because he did this. He prioritized this over the strength building, over the other stuff. He really focused on making sure that he had his athleticism dialed. And he was already athletic. He could have been like, I'm good. No, that's why he had such a crazy long career, plus a lot of the other stuff. So again, props to Greg. The reason why they did it is the same thing you can tap into, and you can be the type of rider who at 40, 50, 60, 70 years old is able to do incredible things. I get it if you've been like, well, I've been injured or I've had something rough. It's like, I have too. I've had my knee hanging on by one of the 4 ligaments, and the only way that that injury could have been more complex is if I lost my leg. The surgeon said this is 10 out of 10, the most complex thing. You'll never, ever walk the same way again. And I had to relearn how to walk. I still haven't relearned how to run. It's been 2 years, and it's brutal, okay? But when I'm almost entirely focused on athleticism, and because of that, I'm already good on the bike. I go out there and I ride, and people are like, wow, you look really good. And I'm like, I feel really good. And again, it's not about me, it's about what do you wanna do? Is it standing on the podium for the first time? Is it getting back on the podium after a while? Is it finally feeling confident on the bike? Okay? So again, if this is you, I want you to subscribe to the channel right now. I will give you a free fundamentals course later this winter. It's only for subscribers. I have an artificial intelligence software that picks up who's a subscriber. Do the subscription now, send this to a friend. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you stay safe out there. Dave Davidson out.